How's it going, everyone? Today, I have Demetrius, who I met at Cars and Coffee a couple of weeks ago. And sometimes you just meet someone, talk to them for a little bit, and you're like, I want to know more about this guy. You know, his story sounds so interesting, how he started from nothing, and now he's built something. He's successful, and he jumped from your first supercar was like straight into the big one. I mean,
the deep end.
Yeah, the deep end.
He saw an Aston Martin DB11. I went up to the guy and started talking to him like, hey man, I really love this car. I really want an Aston Martin. And he's like, well, why? Because in my head, and I wasn't going to say this to a stranger, but in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm Black James Bond. I like to carry a gun, suit and tie, and I enjoy my martini shaken, not stirred.
Yep.
So I just kind of talked to him a little bit, and he's like, well, what do you drive now? Like a BMW 3 Series? No. Pick your head up. Why do you drive a BMW 3 Series? Well, I'm a motorcycle racer. I said, and when you drive a BMW, it really is the ultimate driving machine. I said, I feel in tune with the road and with my machine. I'm confident that whatever I command it to do, it's going to do. Said, my friend, you need to be in a Ferrari. If that's how you feel about driving, and if driving is like motorcycle riding, like if you're dissecting a road and hitting apexes, then you need to be in a Ferrari. That conversation actually got me out of a ticket one night. So I'm in that same Silverado pickup, and I'm not staying in my lane. I'm hitting every single apex on this back road. I'm making a road that's like this straight. Cop pulls me over, you were swerving. And I'm like, well, sir, was I swerving or was I hitting every apex? Huh. Think about it. I said, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? I was like, yeah. I said, so wear and tear, unnecessary. I said, unnecessary gas, necessary brake to just keep doing all this, or I could just drive straight. I said, not for nothing. I didn't think there was anybody else out here. You make a good case. Went through the standard license registration stuff, but seriously, like, he let me go.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're not drunk.
Yeah.
You literally are meticulously picking up the road.
That's awesome.
So like that was really cool.
And for some people who think like, oh, you know, why are you spending so much on a car? One, it's like you've reached a level where you can afford it.
Yeah.
And I tell people cars are kind of like our trophy.
It is.
Like when you write goals, and like the guy who talked to you, like, you know, you need to get into a Ferrari. You set your goals to get to that level, right? So that's congratulations, man. I mean, that's a big accomplishment.
If you're a car person, I'm a motorsports enthusiast. I enjoy going fast, but part of that is car. And for me, the reason why I went with that car, went with that color, there is a certain elegance to it. And I feel I'm approachable in my car, where like I kind of made the joke of like Lambo owners.
Yeah.
But if you talk to a lot of, I would say, current generation Ferrari owners, most of them are extremely approachable, and there's some type of story behind the vehicle and why they have it, especially if they built it. There's a real story behind it versus I just wanted to show off.
Yep.
So for me, I don't feel as though I would look right stepping out of a Lambo in suit and tie. I think it looks very fitting for me to step out of my F8 in suit and tie. There's just a certain elegance to that car, that color combination.
Yep.
It just all came together very well. And even some folks now, they're like, I'm not surprised that you have a Ferrari. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, there was just something about you. You were always just driven to push a little bit harder, even though like bored out of my mind in school. But you always figured out a way to do the things that you wanted and get the things that you want. And as you've grown, right, and having great friends around me, like I did a video not too long ago and I talked about just my circle of people.
Yep.
And it related to my son. And he was crying and upset, and seeing my circle of people be able to grab him, remove him, and console him so I can get back to business.
Yep.
That was spot on, right? And that's somebody that's been in my life for the last 20 plus years. Like we just hit our 20-year high school reunion this year, and I've known this dude since I was in high school. So we're pushing almost 25 years of friendship. It's having people around you, being malleable, being coachable, like being driven, but don't be arrogant.
Yeah.
Like they're two very different things. And I'm thankful to have friends that when I met them, they were millionaires, but I wouldn't know that.
Few people that we've interviewed so far, they all talk about that. Leadership is the most important thing in business.
It is, right? Like that goes back to the foundations of like what is the supercar mindset, right? There's so many different facets to it, just like there's so many different facets to me as a person. But foundationally, it's structure, leadership, discipline.
Yep.
That is probably the most important thing, is discipline. Being accountable not only to yourself, but being accountable to your peers.
Yep.
Be a man or woman of
financially,
integrity.
you have to control your finances in order. You can make a lot of money, but spend all of it.
Spend it all.
Yeah. Then you go into whirlwind down. So in your adult life so far, were there times where you struggled with money?
Yeah, of course. 2016, I was facing, not homelessness, what's the word I'm looking for? Foreclosure.
Yep.
Went through some stints of unemployment, and I actually ended up working 2 full-time jobs, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I was tired, but I did what I had to do to maintain my home. And there was just something in that, like, if I'm willing to put in that much work for really this little bit of money, if I can take that same level of effort and apply it to something else, what does that look like? How can I grow from there? And not even 2 years later, I bought my first rental property. With increase in success, your circle kind of changes a little bit. There's some people that just don't want to elevate with you. And there's certain people that don't want to see you elevate. And that's okay, right? Like if they don't want to come along and don't want to work, right? I don't mean like just drag somebody along because they're a bum. I mean, like literally like make the changes and work with you and grow with you.
So you mentioned you're an entrepreneur, you have businesses in the past. Did you have mentors that help you along the way?
Yes. And I made mistakes and didn't listen to one of them. And I hope he sees this because he's going to smile about it. This is for you. Yeah. Told me like, dude, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. I know you want to, but I'm telling you, don't do it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, whatever decision is that you make, I'm going to support you the best that I can, right? And we've had that conversation multiple times where it's, don't do this, but I support you.
Yep.
I'm telling you, but I'm still here for you. I still love you. Like, okay, cool.
So let's talk about, I know you talked about starting your own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
What's that YouTube channel about?
Kind of this stuff, right? So a normal dude, normal guy that leads a relatively super life. So normal guy, super life, one, kind of like how we hit on earlier, just constantly traveling. It's not normal. What I appreciate about my now job role is being remote. So as long as I'm operating within the US, I can do my job without issue, right? Like it's pretty easy. Start talking about international stuff? No, because of federal laws. Like, so when you get into PII, PHI, FTI, just that data should not be leaving the country. So you shouldn't be accessing that data from out of the country either.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little tough. So sometimes I do have to take like a real vacation, but it's nice to just go spend time with family. Like I remember 2020, like right at the kickoff of COVID, you know what? I'm going to go see my family in Georgia this week. And just to be able to drive to Georgia, well, what are you doing? Like, oh, I'm just hanging out on the patio and I'm working. Right? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, even working from home now, I'm just being able to step outside for 5 minutes if I want to. That's cool.
So if you were meeting someone who's looking up to you, what words of wisdom would you give them for like, hey, you can do it as well? And this is what advice?
3 things. 1, discipline. Most important, discipline. And that's being accountable to yourself, being accountable to your peers, and being a person of integrity, right? Be a good person.
Yep.
I would say that's number 1. Number 2, understand your circle. Again, your circle of people can make or break you. The people that understand where you're trying to go, what you're trying to accomplish, will support you in that. And the people that don't understand or really don't care or don't want to see you accomplish those things will try and detract you from it. Number 3, define your why. Because the money doesn't matter, the things don't matter. Why do you want the money?
Yep.
Why do you want the things, right? It was, if you look at the car, again, a reflection of me. And anytime I'm driving my car, I'm having motorcycle racing flashbacks, right? Like, there's a joy that goes into driving that. It's a great networking piece, right? Yeah. I remember I set a goal for myself. We talk about setting goals. I want the car to pay for itself, simply because I want the car to bring business to me. And this can get me into places and spaces that otherwise I would not get into. And I understand that, right? To a degree, there's a certain cost of entry with everything that you do, right? Very much I've seen this graphic meme or whatever it might be. It's a guy flying a plane, and there's a dude in a Corvette looking up at him like, man, I wish that was me. Behind the guy in a Corvette, there's some dude like in a broken down car. I wish that was me. There's somebody riding the bus looking at the broken down car. I wish that was me. There's somebody riding a bicycle looking at the bus. I wish that was me. There's somebody walking, looking at the bicycle. I wish that was me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so define your why and understand why it is that you're trying to do those things. Because if you don't have a why and it's not beyond just the money, I think on the days when you do face the hardships, you are faced with, right? And it can be a financial hardship, relationships, whatever it might be, whatever that challenge might be, becomes a lot harder to overcome those things when you don't have a clearly defined why and a real motivation. For me, the opportunity to give back to people, motivate and inspire, and that gets me out of bed. Because I've had 5 a.m. texts. Hey, dude, I just want to let you know, you are on my mind because I know you're up and at the gym. And because I know you're up and at the gym, I don't feel bad about sending this text to you because I know you're up. And I just want to say thank you, because that motivated me to get out of bed and go to the gym this morning. In between sets, like, oh, thank you. Right?
I got to think about that, because I need to get out of bed to go to the gym. But, you know, to rewind to what you said, your one of your threes is very important, is being a good person. Something as simple as that can radiate.
It does.
And people don't understand that. Like, you know, when you radiate good energy, it automatically, people just attract to you. Yeah. And if you have that negative energy, hey, you're going to be living that negative life. You know,
it's, what is it? Matter, energy are finite. They just change shape. Yeah. Right. Negative, positive, right? Yin and yang, right? It's finite. Just how do we use it? And if it's positive, positivity trumps negativity every single day. I've had to have this conversation with a family member, and there's a reason why you're constantly fed negative stuff in social media, because this is what you're constantly putting out. This is what you subscribe to. These are the things that you're liking. I said, if you look at my social media, it's legitimately motorcycle racing stuff. It's motorcycle racing stuff, cybersecurity stuff. No pity me, no negativity. I don't see violence. Like, I don't see any of that stuff because I don't subscribe to any of it. And if I do happen to catch some of that, delete. I don't want to see this, unwanted. And in a social media age, I don't think a lot of people appreciate the subconscious programming that goes on based on the content that you consume. And when you consume those things, like, it does start to really make a difference. Yeah. So you have to adjust and make those changes for sure. And
those are things that are important. Like, you know, you said, like, you constantly get these feeds of motorcycles, and we are into motivation, you know, and we constantly get feeds about motivation. And hey, it inspires us even every day, seeing the quotes or seeing how people are trying to motivate other people. It motivates us. So yeah, those are good content that helps.
I definitely get those too, because I have those tearjerker moments. Right. When I was in bed this morning, I was looking at something. It was about an Olympic powerlifter who had just lost his wife. And he promised her, hey, I'm going to go win a gold medal. And the little cutscene cartoon that they did was the ghost of his wife coming to support him and lift it. Yeah. And they cut back to him. And when he pressed that weight and then slammed it down, just fell into tears. Like, man, I can only imagine what that must have felt like. But it was motivating. Like, maybe I should have gone to the gym this morning. Yeah. Right. But also, like, just taking time. All right, cool. I got to rest. And that's another thing, right? Knowing when to rest, because you can work yourself to death. Yeah. Yeah. And
going back to your interview, how you said, you know, when you interview or have people who work for you, you can interview someone who is super qualified for a job position, but they have that negative energy with them, their cockiness and everything. But then you have this guy who has that positive energy, willing to learn. I always pick the guy who's willing to learn and who's happy, you know?
I tell people that all the time. Like, I'm the least nerdy nerd that there is in comparison to my peers. I'm far from the most technically savvy guy. Might be one of the most personable people that you're gonna meet. Like, I'll hold a conversation with you and just be able to level with you on a human level that a lot of overly like tech smart IT people struggle to do.
Yeah.
It's a very weird, as they say, a weird dichotomy to find both. I don't mind being the dumb guy in the room, and I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. So one of the questions we always ask the people we interview is like, once you get a taste of the supercar, is there another one in mind for you in the future? Or are you really happy with the F8?
I actually talked about this not too long ago, and someone's like, all right, so what's next? I'm like, nothing. What? And I think that's the curse of going straight to that, because what else do I want? Nothing. There's nothing that I'm like, I'm working to get this. Niceties, give me a 12-cylinder. Gotta have a V12 Ferrari, right? Doesn't matter which one, just give me one. It can be the FF, the GTC Lusso, which would be cool, right? I could throw my little guy in the back seat, as much as mother hates that idea. I don't care, but still, I would have a cool dad mobile, and it's a V12 Ferrari. Give me a naturally aspirated V8, I'd be happy, right? So like that would kind of be like, here's the collection.
Yep.
But what's next, where some people are like, I'm leveling up, I'm trying to, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want an EV.
Yeah. And then you just got other priorities, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Eventually come.
Well, thanks, Demetri.
Sir?
It was great.
Appreciate it.
Talking about, your lifestyle and what motivates you. And I hope that motivates other people.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Actually, what's really cool is, so last anecdotal point, Ron's rides. So Ron Oliver from Daytona came down, did an interview with me not too long ago. And we shot over at the Wave Hotel. Somebody saw it and was like, dude, I actually live near the Wave. Hey man, just reach out to me, shoot me a message, right? So if I can be of any assistance to anybody, reach out, love to chat.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.